I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to get out of depression and overcome depressive episodes. I'm not going to give you strategies like meditating or breathing exercises or anything like that. No, I'm not going to do that. These are the actual things I did in order to get me from where I was to where I am now. So for me, depression wasn't random, it always had a source. And it was always because of this one thought. I always thought, I'm never where I'm supposed to be in life. I always should be ahead of where I thought I was supposed to be. I always thought not enough progress, not enough money, nothing built, nothing to show for. I always compared myself to where I thought I should be by now. And I could never get that gap out of my head. It always triggered it over and over. So if that sounds like you, keep listening because everything I did, I utilized to attack that same thought and get rid of it. So here's what I figured out. I couldn't just stop thinking that thought. You can't just tell yourself not to think about something. That doesn't work. So I kind of made a system. What I did was I replaced the thought with action. So every single time my brain would think about this and I would think I was behind, I would immediately go and do something to make myself not feel behind. I would do things that would actually move me forward, whether it's the gym, eat a healthy meal, or work on a project that would take me somewhere someday. So it wasn't to distract myself and forget about the thought. It was more so to distract myself into progress, into eliminating the thought. So the biggest thing I actually did first was working out. So whenever that thought hit, I would just go to the gym and go train. And while it didn't change my life in that moment, when I'm laying in my bed at the end of the day and I'm done training, I've done everything I've needed to do, I could at least stop and say that I'm one step closer to the person I want to be, physically and mentally. Now you might be saying, well, that doesn't really change anything. If you stack up enough days like these in a row, or not even in a row, just in a long period of time, you will start to see actionable change and you will start seeing change in your life that you want to see. So I did the same thing with eating healthy. In the moment it sucks and you don't want to do it. But afterwards you can say, I'm one step closer to the person I want to be physically and mentally. You're building something. So another thing I did was that I worked on what I wanted to be successful in. So think about what you want to be successful in, right? Music, your sport, your job, whatever. It could be any of these things. So for me, it was content creation. I thought being a content creator would help me get to where I want to be in life. So what I did was every time I felt like I was behind and I needed work to get done, I opened my laptop and I went to work. Whether it was a YouTube video or a TikTok or a YouTube short, it didn't matter. I just worked on something. It didn't matter if the video did bad, did good. It didn't matter because I knew in the back of my head that if I did this long enough and I build it up long enough, I would eventually get somewhere and start seeing real change in my life. So whatever you want to do, work on it aggressively and get to a place to where you will start seeing success and real results with whatever you want to do. So another thing I did that was I think really holding me back was cutting down on substances. And I think this was a big issue for me, and I think it can be a big issue for a lot of others, but let me explain. So I used to smoke a lot of weed, like daily, not all day, but just like at night. And when I would smoke, it would make me feel complacent in where I was in life, even though I wasn't okay with where I was in life. It's like when I got high, I would just forget about everything else and just focus on that moment. And when I started cutting back heavily, I had this fire lit under me. I almost had this anger and I had a lot of energy and I needed to put it somewhere. So I've been putting it into my hobbies, my YouTube channel, my TikTok, my social media. And now I'm seeing small but actionable progress to where I want to be in life. Because when I was smoking, it would always just be this cycle of having like this fire lit under me for a small period of time and then getting high and kind of forgetting about all that. It was a very aggressive loop. So the reason why this worked for me is because it turned the trigger into the solution. So for me, depression came from a gap, the difference between where I was and where I wanted to be in life. So instead of running from that feeling with weed or junk food or, antidepressants, I used it as a signal. Every time it would show up and I would get this feeling, it would be my cue to close that gap even more with actionable things I could do in that moment. So like I said earlier, I would work out, I would eat better, I would create something, I'd stay clear-headed. I would do all these positive things to close that gap. And over time, the gap would actually start closing. Doing these things long enough, I would see results and it felt good. Now, they're not big results at all, but the little results, they mean a lot to me. And then when the next wave of depression came back, it didn't hit as hard because I had real proof that I was moving forward to get where I want to be in life. So with that, you also have to be patient. You can't expect your life to change in one day, 1 week, 1 year even. This is a year-long journey. And yes, some people do have closer windows on that than others, smaller windows. Some people achieve their goals in smaller amounts of time than others. But you also have to be realistic with yourself. Where are you at in life with your skills, with what you know? And you also have to understand that you're a one-man show who's attacking a plethora of problems. Your own problems. You are in this alone. Nobody can truly give you what you want out of life. And what you want out of life takes a mountain of work. So have patience and have pride in yourself for taking the steps you need to get there. So I'm not saying this is an instant fix or that it works exactly the same for everyone. Depression isn't a one-size-fits-all. And if what you're dealing with is heavier than this or it's not lifting, then talking to an actual professional could be worth doing. But for me, this is what worked. I redirected the exact thought that was hurting me into exact actions that got me closer to who I wanted to be. So if you're going through it right now, and you're not happy with yourself, do one of the things that I did. Work out, eat one better meal, work on the thing you've been putting off, skip the drink, or don't smoke tonight. Just do something that is positively going to benefit your life that you can see in a long-term span of time. Instant gratification isn't happiness. True happiness comes from delayed gratification. For years, all I did was instant gratifying things, and that led me to a dark path of depression. Delayed gratification is the only source of true happiness you'll get in your life. So anyway, hopefully this helps. Go give some of these a try. Go do something to better your life. Get outside, do something. But anyway, thanks for watching, y'all, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.